right this very minute. Candles in the window.
Hey guys, Jeremy here from Crazy Christmas Crew. As you probably might have seen in some of my earlier videos, last year I made a jumping arch using the 3/4 inch PVC pipe. I think it's called the sleeve method, but 3/4 inch PVC pipe, wrap the lights around, and slept over a 1/2 inch PVC pipe. This year I'm not necessarily making an arch, but on the eve of all my house, I'm actually wanted to have 8 channels mirrored to be able to dance with the light show this year. So I'm using the same concept. I'm doing a little bit of a better job. It's taking a little longer, and I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up on what I did and what I'm finding the easiest way to do this. But what I'm doing is I'm basically taking, I'm getting 2 pieces of pipe, one 1/2 inch, one 3/4 inch. This is the thin wall piece of PVC, and I'm measuring and cutting accordingly. For the peak that goes up, I'm going to have 8 channels, and then again when it goes down, 8 channels. Everywhere it's going to have 8 equal channels. So obviously the length's going to be a little bit different, so you're going to have to take your adjustments and your measurements accordingly if you want to do something like this, or even if you use this method for building an arch. Okay, but what we do is we take, in this case, I have 8.5 inch or 8.5 foot piece of 1/2 inch. That's one of my eaves is 8.5 feet, and then I've taken 8.5 feet of the 3/4 inch and cut it into 8 equal pieces, which is just over a foot long each. And I'm taking, this year I'm using multicolored lights. Obviously it doesn't matter what kind of lights you use. I've checked them, make sure they're all working. Definitely do that before you put them on your house, period. It's a lot easier to work with them when you're not hanging on a ladder or out in the rain or in the cold. And then last year I just quickly, I made a, my jumping arch in a matter of 30 minutes. I just quickly wrapped them. Really wasn't done quite nicely, but this is what I'm doing here to make it a little bit more clean cut. Obviously you start with, I always start with my mail-in, and I start as close to the edge as possible. And I'm going to take a zip tie, strap it on really nice and tightly. And now what you need to do with this, for now anyway, is just tuck it into the pipe. If you get all this extra wire into the pipe, you don't have to worry about getting it tangled up when you're turning the pipe, or accidentally wrapping it, with the lights when you come back for a second pass. This is definitely going to save your frustration. Keep it to a minimum anyway. And the reason I do this is the first one that I did, I didn't do this, and I coming back around, and I wound up wrapping it up, so I had to take it all apart, or at least halfway apart, to get it back. All right, and then you just, in this case, just wrap it as tightly and as close together as possible. Making sure that all the bulbs are sticking out, not being wrapped up and overlapped. There's 2 reasons for this. Obviously, it's going to make it a little bit brighter because you're going to be able to see all the bulbs, not going to be wrapped up with the wires. And number 2, if for whatever reason you have a light that goes out, you are going to need to be able to fix that light, and the only way to do that is if you can get to it. And you can see that in this case, the length of the spacing of these wires, a lot of my bulbs are coming all at the same spot. Always check, when you get down, check the length of the lines you have left. This will kind of determine if you're getting a little less shorter here. If you're using the same, a brand new set, it's going to be all the same across the board. You kind of can just, if you do one and figure out how it works, and then do the rest for the other, do the same for the others. But when I'm dealing with a bunch of different kinds of old, possibly built or purchased in different years, they might be different lengths. When I'm coming through here, I'm obviously making sure that I'm not just overlapping a bulb. I want to make sure to get the green wire down as close to the base as possible. And here, there's another problem you might want to just keep an eye on to make sure this wire doesn't pop off, especially when you're turning it. Once you lose that slack in that wire, or that tightness in that wire, you might have an issue where you have to rewrap. So just be mindful of what you're doing as you wrap again. Now right now what I'm doing is, I'm not really liking too much how this turned out and how the spacings of these bulbs made this. So what I'm trying to do is salvage my work here and my time by going back and forth and maybe making sure that in this case I don't want that bulb to sit right there. So I'm coming back a little bit and seeing if I can get that bulb to sit there in an empty spot. Once you get to the end, and again I have my male end on this side, male plug, and then my female end on the opposite side. I'm going to zip tie it again. Now you want to try to get as close to the edge as possible with your lights, because once you slip these sleeves over the smaller pipe, the 1/2 inch, you have a little bit of a gap here. You might wind up having tiny spaces in between each channel, and sometimes that's not good. Now when you're done, just pull your lead out, plug it in real quick here, and there is your channel. Now you can see that still is that there is a little bit. It's a little bit heavier here, and we can just be mindful of when we place this in place on the house, which side, because once you get it on the line, you can easily spin it to what's better. Let me show you this other one that I just did. This one turned out nicer. You can see the lights are spaced out a little bit better. Plug this one in. And you can see it's just a little bit nicer spaced. There goes, just different manufacturers, different lengths of lights. You got to play with it. Unless you're buying all new lights, same manufacturer, you're going to have this issue. So we've got all the pieces, all the sleeves wrapped. Okay, we got 8 of them there. I'm going to reiterate a couple things that are on the last year's video. I just want to say, and this one too, just in case you didn't see it. Again, this pipe is just over 8.5 feet long, and then we're taking the 3/4 sleeves and sliding it over it. Now, what I'm doing is I took the total measurement of this. I subtracted a couple inches. Let's just say it was 104 inches long. I subtracted 2 inches, so it made it 102 inches. I cut the 3/4 inch PVC down to 102 inches, and then divided that up over 8 equal sections, and that made my sleeves. And the reason I had the extra 2 inches, because you want to make sure you have a little bit of room on each side to drill a hole to put a pin through. This way, when you slide, set this up a little bit here. When you slide your pieces on, and you want to make sure you pull out the lead if you haven't already. When you slide it on, you want it to go on the end without falling off. That's what it's for. So make sure you leave one on both sides, so you have the room on this side as well to drill the hole and to put the pin through. Okay, it's hard to tell with all the mess in my garage, but we got all the 8 pieces on. We're going to slip this piece right through. This is some random hardware that I had laying around my garage. It's always good to go with a nut and bolt, though. This way, if it does... Now, I was thinking of just putting a nail through, but if for whatever reason it pops out, then because it pops out, at least with the bolt on, it'll hold it in. And here it is. Hopefully you can see it. Jumping, it could be an arch, leaping arch. You can bend it down, If I was going to make it into an arch, I would have it a little bit longer. This way I can get a nice, good angle with it. Now, it's still PVC, it's still flexible, even with the sleeves. This year, I'm going to mount it to the eaves, which I'll show you here in a second. Okay, this is just the first one. I only did this one because it's the only pieces that I had laying around the house, but this is actually the arch that I used last year in the other house I have moved since last year. And I decided not to do any arches, but so here's the 8-channel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have another 8 channels going up here. I'm going to have 2 channels there, 1 or 2, and then the remainder here. And then I'm going to have, I don't think I'm going to do anything here, but I'm going to have 8 channels going across here. Right, son? I'm thinking about doing 8 channels here, like doing 5 and 3 or something to nature. And I'm going to have 8 channels here and 8 channels down there. So that's how I'm doing that this year. My trees, my tower tree is going right here. I got the tower up. I got my Halloween decorations still up since Wednesday. Today is Sunday. This coming Wednesday is Halloween, so I'm sneaking this by my wife. She doesn't like me putting up Christmas decorations before Halloween's over, but I had to do something today. There it is. Probably not going to have them, the rest of them up and the lights tested probably for another couple weeks, but at least I'll post this video, let you know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So there it is.